Hi, this is Paul Thomas at ISPE 2009 in San Diego, and I'm talking today with Kawa Chiu, and Kawa is the Associate Director of Manufacturing at Genentech. Kawa, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you for having me here.
And you've undertaken a comprehensive program for error reduction in your facilities. Maybe you can tell us just a little bit about what the situation was that brought on this initiative.
Sure. Our facility is actually about an hour north of here. We actually licensed back in 2007, so it's only 3 years ago, and you see the history there a little bit. And at that time, we were very much in a startup mode, and a lot of problems, equipment, automation, people, you name it. So for us, there was a really driver to pursue right the first time, because we were just exhausted from chasing problems after problems, let alone making products for patients. So that was the main driver.
So your right first time approach, what are some of the main parts of that approach?
We actually took on more like a phased approach. So it was a journey. Back in the year one, because 2007 to here, we talked about 3 years so far that we're into it, we were very much focusing on the foundation. So we implemented things like 5S and created a discrepancy management team looking at more like the low-hanging fruit or the common causes. So with that effort, we were able to eliminate a lot of the things that just keep happening without really thinking about it, and also a lot of the big equipment type of issue that it keep repeating. So we were able to tackle things in a very simple manner in the beginning of our program. And then last year, in the year two, we started to hone into the more focused approach. So we utilized Kaizen to focus on improvement in specific areas or processes, as well as having a program that allow all of our floor technicians to provide the suggestions and ideas from the floor. And we were able to start to hone in on some of the other problems that was not as obvious, but if you walk on the floor, you see it on an everyday basis. And finally this year, we start to mature and have more time to let's take a step back and having a breathing room. So we take a more systematic approach on error proofing. So we, until this year, we were very much retrospective, looking and using the historic data to help us to improve. This year we were doing a more systematic approach to look at what could have happened, taking it step by step, taking our automation recipe and our procedures, mapping it, observing the actual operations to find the gap and ask what could have happened that happened already. So pretty much the phased approach, and it's building on making improvement and taking it to the next level.
So those initial phases, you talked about low-hanging fruit, but just because there's low-hanging fruit doesn't mean that you can always achieve success. What were some of the keys to your early success? And you documented that you had pretty dramatic turnaround in terms of error reductions.
Yes. Well, in the beginning, the documentation, you probably saw the data, the magnitude. We were talking about 30, 40 errors per batch, and it's huge. Each batch for us run about a month in processing time, and now we're talking about less than 4 or 5, which is amazing improvement. We pretty much focus on the root cause. I think finding the root cause, having a cross-functional team to look at it in a systematic manner, and that's actually a cornerstone for us. We are still pretty much applying the same approach. Instead of having almost the SMEs to look at it, we allowed and teach and enable more people to understand and find the root cause. So when we fix something, we know that we're not putting a band-aid on the symptoms, and we're pretty much tackling the root causes. And so far, based on the data, we track the successes of reoccurrences. I think we were very, very lucky and fortunate to achieve that result that most of the fixes that we put in place truly eliminated the problem.
And of course, one of the areas that you've really looked at is contamination, and which is obviously a huge problem. How have you attacked contamination specifically, and what kinds of things are you finding success with?
For contamination, some of the reason or the examples that we had in the last 3 years, pretty much focusing on the sterile boundary. So you will look at that. There's always a combination from equipment, people, process perspective. For us, it's I think that the discrepancy, the errors that we talk about, it's kind of the early indication. Ensuring the system more robust and focusing on the aseptic techniques was very helpful. So everything that I kind of mentioned really helped us from the contamination perspective. Some of the key lessons learned that we know, for example, the sterile boundary. Understanding that and making sure we are very much safeguarded from that, it's probably one of the key learnings that I think important for our success.
Great. Well, we hope to follow up with you about some more specifics on your successes, but congratulations first of all, and thanks for joining us today. Thanks so much.